a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's kick this thing off. Good morning from Paradise Surfers. My name is Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Nick, the Crypto Hitman. Happy Monday, January 19th, MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day if you're here in the US. We technically could be off. We technically could be taking the day off, but we are grinding it out. We're here for you guys. We're bringing you the latest news, analysis. We're going to talk about the charts. Bitcoin dumped last night. Gold is looking good. What is going on here and what is coming next? We got some good stories around further adoption of crypto, some political stories to cover, Greenland, tariffs, a lot going on, a lot to discuss. But before we get to all of that, how was your weekend, Nick?
Yeah, weekend was pretty good. Let me try to get this URL. It's saying invalid URL when trying to share it here. That's not correct. Went to Monster Jam actually last night, so a little tired tonight. I don't know if you guys know what Monster Jam is, depending on what part of the world you're in, because it might be a little too hillbilly for you. But there is like a circuit, just like NASCAR or F1 or any of these. There's a circuit of monster truck drivers who compete in races, compete in tricks events, and then compete in freestyle, which really turns into destruction of their vehicle. And they do it on a global tour, and then the finale is in Las Vegas every year. So that was a lot of fun. Took the son there, went with a couple buddies and their kids. Always a good time. Always nice to smell that burning oil, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I haven't been to a Monster Jam thing before myself, but the feedback I've got from others is it's very loud and very like you smell like the exhaust the whole time. So I don't know. I guess you just deal with that. I don't know.
Yeah, we're real men over here.
There
Not
you
your
go, yeah.
liberal East Coast baby sissy boys
Yeah,
over
no,
there.
we don't do that here where I'm from. You know, maybe we'll go watch a little golf, a little tennis. You know, that's more my speed. Just getting around. I did watch a lot of NFL football this weekend. Wow, hell of some great games, man. Great games. If you guys watched the NFL last night, some miraculous fourth quarter magic. Unfortunately, the Bears didn't pull it off, but and then the Bills on Saturday night. What a hell of a game against Denver, but sadly also lost. So I mean, the teams I was rooting for ended up losing. But in any event, great stuff. Had a good weekend. I'm watching, Twitter last night, scrolling through, doing my little reply guy stuff, and all of a sudden, bam, it's like, what's going on with Bitcoin? We're crashing. Why? What's happening? So maybe we take a look at the chart. It looked like, a 3% move, and everyone's losing their mind. Did we recover, rebound a little bit from that yet? Where are we at on the chart?
We caught ourselves a bit. The reason people were freaking out is because stocks have gone up, gold went up, and Bitcoin was literally had a perfect retest, was sitting here and trying to create that rounded bottom to create this measured move higher, and it just went straight down through the support back into this zone here. So it does kind of kill the momentum. Granted, it is still higher lows. You're still holding this white uptrend line, but everybody thought this was a breakout, a retest, and a rounded bottom to move up. I guess I shouldn't say everybody. We were ahead of the curve on that, all the way calling a break above the moving averages from down here, and everything has played out perfectly over since December 31st, all the way until like January 18th or 19th. Everything was perfect, and then we saw the drop out. But what is causing that? Not much on the negative news front. I think really it's just a proxy of this. Gold had another move higher after selling off. Remember, this is when Bitcoin was catching itself and rallying. Gold had another move higher to another minor new all-time high, and Bitcoin sold off at the exact same time. And this is nothing new. We have shown this many times. Rotation video, gold sold off, Bitcoin surged. Gold sold off, Bitcoin surged. This is what you need to see. You need to see a major top in gold with a multi-month consolidation. This is when gold went from like $50,000 to $126,000 right here. This is on the back of gold selling off and consolidating. It just seems like they're inverse each other. And with gold showing strength, Bitcoin wants to catch red candles.
I think gold probably played a role in it because obviously last night you see the gold pump, Bitcoin dump. Okay, sure. You saw some tariff fears rearing their ugly heads again. Trump now trying to buy Greenland, the Europeans saying no, Trump saying if you don't acquiesce to this, we're going to slap more tariffs on you. So the back and forth, I mean, a lot of it's noise in my opinion. I actually think the bigger cause of it is simply, guys, it's coming back again to these liquidation events, these exchange and market maker driven liquidation events, coordinated sell-offs to wreck longs or shorts. And last night, not a lot of liquidity on the books, thin order books, not a lot of trading going on. It's easy to manipulate the price up or down. And so you see last night one of these coordinated sell-offs, Binance, Coinbase, Wintermute, all of them kind of dumping at once. And, 500 millions of longs get liquidated. So my takeaway is, first of all, stay away from leverage. Secondly, expect the unexpected. Like if the chart is telling you one thing, that all the chart guys are like, well, obviously this means this is going up because look at this textbook structure here, of course. And there's a wide consensus as to what's going to happen next based on the chart. Well, guess what? The opposite's going to happen. The opposite's going to happen. They're going to wreck everyone who's in a position. So in a leverage long position. So that's what happened, I think, last night. I'm not worried about it at all. It's just more par for the course, the manipulation that's been going on for a year plus now. I mean, this has been going on. So the good news is the overall uptrend, I think, that we put in since the $80,000 level is still intact on Bitcoin. I know you switch over to the ETH chart, mostly the same looking. So I'm not worried at all. Stay away from leverage. Expect the unexpected, and they're going to wreck you if you're caught with your pants down.
Now we got the Ethereum chart here. It looks a lot of the same. Was trying to break out. This one was actually lagging in terms of formation. But, sell off here, still holding the moving averages, still a higher low, and still above our buy level that we gave you in the live show. So everything still looks okay for Ethereum and Bitcoin here. It would be lovely if gold did this. This is what I've been showing. Gold surges equal to Bitcoin dump. We need gold to make another multi-month top for Bitcoin to run to new all-time highs. We just need gold to repeat itself what it did, a year and a half ago. Made a multi-month top, topped, dropped off, and then consolidated month after month and allowed capital to chase other assets, of which Bitcoin caught a bid because people get bored with gold. Gold is the easiest to access, the most understood when price is doing well, but when it sells off or it goes sideways for a very long time. It's a way more mature asset, a way heavier asset. People get bored and they rotate into other assets where they can actually make gains. That's what we need to see happen once again.
Yeah, and I think it will. I think it absolutely will. Geopolitically, there are some headwinds now. I think that the gold pump last night was not really a surprise based on what's going on between Trump and the Europeans fighting over Greenland. I think people are a little bit skittish around what the fallout of that might be. Ultimately, my guess is there is some negotiated deal that happens. Whether it means the U.S. actually buys Greenland, which I know is Trump's goal, or perhaps they come to some agreement where the U.S. can build a bunch of bases there, take over the mineral rights, right? A lot of this has to do with the rare earth minerals that the U.S. needs because China has them all, has a monopoly on those things. We need some rare earths, and a lot of it has to do with defense and just making sure that we can put up missile defense systems on Greenland. So does there end up being a negotiated settlement, whether buying Greenland outright or some other thing? Yes, that is where this is going. I don't think we're going to end up in nuclear war with Europe over Greenland. So I think people need to chill out a little bit. But because all this news dropping and people are skittish, gold starts to look more attractive, I guess, in this environment. So, it is what it is. This has been a story trend for a while. And we just wait for, like you said, gold to start to consolidate and money can flow into Bitcoin.
You want to go ahead and go to the chat box? We got a lot of people saying hey this morning, so I want to get them all a shout out here.
Absolutely. Yeah, what's going on, Gav? Thank you for joining up. The daily grind never stops. Absolutely. McChiapo, shout out to you. By the way, McChiapo won $50. So, and then the Totoro also won, I think Rifa Crypto won the other 50 for joining in on the spaces last week. So I know the market's looking bearish, but we're still handing out rewards to the extent that we still can. Good morning, Martin. No days off in the trenches. Absolutely not. And then this is an interesting comment from Gray's Gas Money. Ultra Nintendo. Trying to make out what is it that means. What does this mean, Nick?
I don't know. I'm a Nintendo. I don't know what this is. I'm a Nintendo guy, and I'm looking it up on Google right now because I have no idea. Is this a crypto token? Are you talking about Nintendo stock? Nintendo Ultra 64 is what pops up on Google here, which would be a remake of the Nintendo 64 console that everybody my generation loves. Star Fox, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, all the goodies. Yeah, shout out to Nintendo. We'll just go with
There
that.
you go. Yeah. You're definitely dating yourself, but I'm right there with you. Shout out to Todd. Remember to like smash the like, share, and subscribe. Absolutely. What other stories we got for today, folks?
We got bullish Fed to deploy another 55.3 billion from tomorrow through February 12th via bond reinvestment and reserve purchases. I know we've been kind of talking about the QE light that has been going on with the Fed. Obviously, they made a public announcement of stopping QT. We've cut their interest rates now, what, 1, 2, 3 times so far. We have a chance to cut them again January 27th. And they've been behind the scenes putting some money into various things, but people are saying it's QE light, not true QE. Is this still QE light if this happens, or does this finally bridge us the gap and we're switching to QE here for the Fed?
Man, it's a really gray area between QE and QE light. My understanding, I'm no expert on this area by any stretch of imagination. My understanding is that proper official QE is intended to drive down the long-term interest rates so that your mortgage cheaper, credit card debt cheaper, etc. This is something a little bit different. The intention isn't so much to drive down the long-term interest rates, allegedly. It's more to just provide some more liquidity in the system, in the banking, in the financial markets from a banking sector standpoint. So, whether those two things overlap, probably do to some degree. And then the bigger point, I think, is if the consensus of the market is that this is in fact QE, then I guess it's QE because when risk assets, react accordingly. But if the consensus is that it's not, then it's not. So look, better than I like to see that they're doing this. I like to see where their head is at. I don't know if we get true, proper, official QE up until May when the new Fed chairman is going to be coming in here.
All right, there you go. There's our local Fed expert here, Crypto Amaru, telling you what QE and QE light is.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of wonkiness on the stream sometimes. A lot of fun, I know. But hey, this is the stuff that moves the markets, guys. Like if you're wondering, why is price going up or down? Like this is what it is. So
yeah, and talking about
why
QE,
we talk about it.
I know that Trump ordered something like 200 billion of long-term housing bonds or something going on, and mortgage rates have actually been coming down. I don't know if it's due to that or just general short-term interest rate cuts. Also, he did mention that he wants the credit card companies to stop gouging at 29% interest and get it down to 10. Now, there's a lot of gray area there. He doesn't have the power to do it right away. But again, this is the mindset that he has. Hey, say everything that's on his mind and let everybody else figure out a way to make it happen. Because again, that would be QE. If your interest rates go from 29% to even 20%, for most people, that's going to put $50, $100, $200, $300 worth of lost interest payments in your pocket each and every month to pay down that debt and or spend it somewhere else. The same applies for mortgage rates. If you're saving 1% on over 30 years on a monthly basis, you're saving hundreds of dollars per month on that mortgage. So now you're saving hundreds on mortgage, hundreds on credit card payments. You get tax rebates on your American-made loans on your cars, and now you're talking about another $1,000 in your pocket each and every month per family, and that is true QE because where do they put that? Do they put that in investments? Do they buy more stuff that shoves revenues up, which shoves ISM up, which shoves Bitcoin up? I mean, this is how the dominoes work, and I think Trump and this administration really understands this. It's a long-term game, but you got to get more money in the pockets of the average Joe in retail, and that's how these markets continue to rally.
Yeah, as to the credit card interest, drop the rates to 10%. He definitely does not have the authority to do that on his own. And I don't know if it actually ends up happening because there's been some pushback from Congress saying, well, if you do that, then the credit card companies just won't lend money to vast majority of Americans. So that would kind of cause some problems there. So we'll see if that one happens. The mortgage-backed securities, buying $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities from the Treasury, that is something my understanding is that Trump and the Treasury have the authority to do without Congress needing to approve of it. So that would be true QE, right? That's literally the definition of QE is when they start buying mortgage-backed securities. One of the ways of QE anyway. So yeah, I think both those things, it's all positive. Trump's definitely got some crazy ideas.
Lost your audio. You're back, but we lost your audio. Looks like we lost audio there, so I'll take over. Roan says, you guys know I like Trump, but damn does he have ADD or something? Some new crazy ideas every week that affects the market. Yeah, but the crazy ideas have been playing out pretty well. Inflation back down to 2%. Interest rates going down. Egg prices down 95%. Gas prices back close to $2. I mean, I have the Corvette out back here, and I'm getting premium gas for $3.25. That's 93 for $3.25. That is crazy. We see illegal immigration near zero, deportations at 3 million. We see housing prices starting to drop. We see the mortgage buyback that actually dropped mortgage rates back into the sixes. So yeah, a lot of crazy ideas on the surface. That's what the experts say. But the administration has taken those ideas and made them work. You know, the tariffs have not been inflationary. We've actually made hundreds of billions of dollars. And now we're at the smallest trade deficit America has seen since 2009. So again, crazy ideas made a reality by the administration, proving experts wrong. And I have seen with the credit card thing, he does not have the power to do that. They would have to figure out how to make that a reality. And the experts say, well, if you change it to 10%, they're not going to loan people money anymore. I think that's bullshit. Maybe they get a little stricter. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But 10% profit margin on debt is still massive, and they're going to keep lending because that is their model. I mean, how they didn't always give reward points. That's a new thing. Why? Because somebody said they'll take on the risk, give 5% of the interest back, and then everybody else had to copy it to be, keep market efficiencies and to compete. So we'll see what happens. The experts have been wrong on everything else. I don't think we get down to 10, but that's why I said even if we get down to 20%, I would take it. That would save a lot of Americans 9%, which would be $50, $100, $300 per month back in the pockets of retail. And when you tack that on with the tax reductions for your loans on American-made cars, when you tack that on with the lower interest rates and refinancing of your mortgages, $100 here, $100 there, $100 there, it adds up in a big way, and that definitely helps the American, but it also helps investment classes such as risk-on investments that these retail investors want to get into, which is crypto, collectibles, and everything else that we talk about.
Yeah, well, by the way, hopefully you can hear me again. I don't know what happened there,
Yeah.
A little technical difficulties. But as to the Trump discussion, I mean, my takeaway is with Trump, you're going to have to accept some degree of volatility, some degree of, quote, craziness, some degree of a little bit of chaos at times. But long term, the trend is your friend and things are trending in the right direction. And so, like, you look at the Greenland negotiation that's going on right now. Sure, it caused some short-term volatility because, the market's a bunch of scaredy cats. They're reacting to every little bit of thing, very emotional. Oh my God, World War III is starting over Greenland. Like, who knows what the market participants are thinking in their little heads. But it's going to cause some little bit of volatility at times. But over the long term, I think a deal gets hashed out some way, shape, or form. Ultimately, better for the U.S. I mean, if you're not from the States, you're probably like, this is annoying, this isn't helping me, and it's messing up the markets. But if you're from the U.S., you're like, all right, well, I'll take a little bit of volatility, a little bit of craziness, if long-term the gas prices go way down. Long-term the food prices go down. Long-term, national security is improved. Long-term less fentanyl getting imported into the U.S. and people dying on the streets. Long-term, good things are happening.
The fentanyl thing isn't even a long-term. If you guys are interested, go look at that chart. That thing has fallen off a cliff. Fentanyl deaths since Trump has become president has literally fallen off a cliff, and it was grinding higher and higher under 4 years of Biden. So it turns out that if there's fentanyl coming across the sea in fishing boats and you blow them up, then nobody can die from that fentanyl. I mean, I know it's a crazy mind-bending thing, but apparently that's how drugs work. If they get blown into the ocean, nobody can take them and or get poisoned by them and die. That's crazy.
Yeah, what a thought. But no, I get my overall point is with Trump, yeah, it's outside the box. It's different than other politicians do. He says wild and crazy things, but long-term good things happen. And so we have to just kind of get through whatever volatility is a result of this Greenland stuff, which is this feels like such a nothing burger to me because my takeaway is they're eventually going to come to some sort of settlement, whether U.S. buys it outright or whether we just get everything we want without buying it. Whatever. It's just going to be old news in a week or two from now, and we will not have World War III over Greenland. So the market needs to chill out, relax. Long-term, Trump's doing good stuff, and you just got to deal with a little bit of volatility in the meanwhile.
Here's some other good stuff that's coming out due to regulatory guidance here with the Trump administration. Breaking New York Stock Exchange to enable 24/7 trading of U.S. equities. Why is this crazy? Because traditional market participants are used to their 9 to 5, government holidays off, markets closed. They don't have to worry about it, and that's why they all check out from like December 15th all the way to January 7th because most of the time it's closed due to all the holidays and the weekends. But that's not going to be the case anymore. And the bullish thing for crypto is it looks like the NYSE to launch 24/7 U.S. stock trading through a new on-chain tokenized exchange. If this stuff does fall on-chain and utilizes blockchain technology, a lot of people know that a lot of it will be on Ethereum. Even if it doesn't fall on Ethereum, I think it's going to bring the education on blockchain technology, tokenized assets, and everything way up, which is overall very good for the markets. We do have Hexbull here saying Bitcoin isn't down because of tariff news. Bitcoin is down because it got rejected at the 21 EMA. Do you accept defeat that we are in a bear market now? You've been saying this since we were 15, 16% lower. So no, Bitcoin is up 16% off the low, still having higher lows, and the macros like this still point to higher, along with the liquidity coming back into the U.S. Market and the global markets for the remainder of this year. So it's hard to admit defeat when we're 16% higher than when your point was made.
Yeah, no, we're not. I'm not admitting defeat until we're below 80,000, right? If we crash down below or 70, 60, whatever your targets are, okay, yeah, we're 4-year cycle still exists at that point, right? But we're not there yet. I don't think we're getting there. I think this is just, your standard correction during a little uptrend that we've been having since 80,000. We talked about a lot of leverage in the system. The exchanges will find a way to hunt that and flush that out, and that's what they did last night on thin order books. And it of course didn't help that gold pumped a little bit last night. So nothing's really changed from our thesis. I'm watching a lot of analysts or Twitter personalities suggest that we're going to have like a massive pump coming in like January and February will be like a huge run up to like 200K, and then we're going to be having alt season for a couple months, and then by June it's all over and we're crashing back down. And that would be very much in line with like prior cycles on how things went. I don't think that's how it's going to go this time. I think we're slow grind up season, guys. Same as it's been since 2022. Since we hit the low on 16K, it's mostly been slow grind up with 20 and 30% corrections along the way. I don't think that's changing. I don't think reverting back to like degen style of trends and chart structures as we had been in previous cycles when it was just degens here. Like, shit's changed, guys. The ETFs are here. Wall Street's here. Big money's here. The pensions, the institutions. It ain't going to be these huge run-ups and then huge drawdowns. So if you still think the 4-year cycle's intact, good luck to you. We will report back in a few months from now. Are we either back at around 120, 130K, or are we down at the 60 or 70K level, like the bears think?
And here's another thing that's going on, not with Bitcoin, but with Ethereum. We already know that stablecoins are choosing Ethereum, that this 24/7 stock is going to be on-chain. Maybe it's Ethereum, maybe it's something else, we don't know. But as of now, Ethereum just processed a record 2.89 million daily transactions, the highest in history. And this is all happening still without the Clarity Act, still without the Stablecoin Act, and still without retail in the markets. What do you think these numbers look like when and if retail ever comes back, and if tokenized securities choose Ethereum as the winning blockchain?
Just making a little chat here because the chat box is empty as far as I can see. Yeah, man, this is nothing but bullish, dude. Ethereum's killing it. But one thing that crypto Twitter is not seeming to understand is that the path Ethereum has been taking and will continue to take, and the path Solana is taking and will continue to take, are very different things. Ethereum has really entrenched itself as the favorite blockchain for institutions, the favorite blockchain for stablecoin payments, the favorite blockchain for DeFi, lending, borrowing, things of that nature, favorite blockchain for OG whales, not really for retail. And so because crypto Twitter is all retail, they're like, Ethereum sucks. All the action's on Solana. And in some sense, that's true if you're in the trenches and if you're doing pump fund stuff and other retail type activities where, to be fair, Solana daily transactions are enormous because people are just doing little microtransactions of shitcoins and pump fund trenchers. And that's okay. We can have two different chains for two different market segments, right? Ethereum for the institutions, Solana for the retail. I don't know where that leaves a lot of other fast, cheap chains like random L2s. I know BSC, I think, will continue to do things. You guys know we're bullish on Pulse Chain, but there's a lot of like random L2s out there. I don't know if it can beat Solana at this point from a retail standpoint. But that's the bifurcation of the market. My recommendation is have some Ethereum as an investment, have some Solana as an investment. That way you're covered on both areas and both market segments. I think both assets will do well, but they're not the same.
That's very true. Shout out to the 131 people on Twitter watching live. We're only 6 behind Randy Hipper. So go ahead and get in here. Watch us. Let's see if we can pass up Randy Hipper while we're live. Shout out to the Wolf of Wall Street's Marcellus Wiley and Crypto Town Hall doing their thing on Martin Luther King Day as well. Let's look at the Solana chart because you just brought up Solana a lot. So here's Ethereum, or there's Bitcoin, trying to get back to 93,000, up 16% off the low. Here's Ethereum, 32.16. I remember when everybody was begging that we get back above 3,000. We have done that. We're up 19% off the low and outperforming Bitcoin off the low like we said it would, outperforming by about 3%. Let's look at Solana here. Solana, I know, had a more of a steeper correction. Let's see how it's doing, and its chart is not looking near as good. Here's the parabola that we were showing you, and what do you know? Parabola gave away, and it was a massive sell-off. It did break out above the moving averages like Bitcoin and Ethereum did, but off the low here, let's see, we are up 14%, but a much steeper decline for Solana versus Ethereum and Bitcoin. Back to $133 on a critical level, back to the moving averages here for Sol. Look, I don't own much Sol, but I'm rooting for it because we own some assets that are on Solana, such as Dubcac, Fuck 9 to 5, and a little bit of Sol that is over there from taking profits on assets. And, when there is strength in Sol, it does help the overall market, and like you said, it does get some of the degens and retail excited, which is what you need to see. Retail liquidity, you can't underestimate it in crypto. Why? Because it is willing to spread itself thin, get into multiple assets. It creates the narratives, it creates the hype, it creates the marketing, the FOMO, etc. that institutionals just don't. They're just very quiet in the background, trying to DCA, trying to accumulate, talking about Bitcoin and ETH only. That's great for the overall market, but that doesn't really get us the activity that we're looking to see, the 10% daily gainers, the 20% daily gainers, the risk on in the altcoin trenches. That comes from retail, and that does come from Solana as one of the big three with Sol, ETH, and BNB.
I think the price of Solana drives retail much more than Ethereum price does, to your point. And we want to see Solana do well. So, we'll continue to talk about it. We're not Solana natives. There's really a generational divide in crypto that I've observed over the past few years. The young guys, they got onboarded directly into Solana. I don't think they even went on Coinbase. I don't think they own any Bitcoin, and I don't think they own any Ethereum. They just, I think their buddies in college were like, hey, look, I'm making money in the trenches. Venmo me $1,000. I'll send you 5 Sol, and you can join the trenches with me, straight to your Phantom wallet. Well, I think that's how a lot of them got onboarded. And so they're Solana maxis, and I think that's fine. It's good for them. But to Nick's point, Ethereum, certainly Bitcoin, have a less of an impact on the trenches than Solana. So we're rooting for Solana. It trades a little bit like a shit coin. Maybe bigger pumps, bigger dumps, so you got to accept that volatility. But we're rooting for it. I hold some, and my thesis, again, is that if you think retail is still going to be a factor in crypto, then you should hold some Solana. That's it.
And we do see the market waking up a bit to understanding the undervaluation of the Ethereum Strategic Reserve companies. Even with the sell-off in Ethereum, BMNR and SBT are actually green today. BMNR still above $31. Last live show, we were like $30.50. Now it's the $31.16 with Ethereum down. SBT was in the $10 range. Now it's up another 5%, up to $11 with Ethereum down. Why is that? Because they keep buying Ethereum, they keep doing other investments, and they're compounding gains with their staking rewards each and every week. SBET is making over $1.5 million per week. BMNR says once their full stack is staked, they're going to be making around $1 million per day in Ethereum. That is a well-oiled machine, and if only Ethereum goes to 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, can you imagine the revenues that these two companies will make and other Ethereum strategic reserves that are trying to follow in their footsteps? I saw BMNR now owns 3.4% of the total ETH supply, has a $100 million investment in the OCTO, has a $200 million investment in Beast Industries, and is sitting on $700 million in cash. They're absolutely killing it there, and yet they're still trading at a discount to NAV, meaning their Ethereum alone is worth more than the stock price, market capitalization of that company, which is crazy to see, and it shows the fear around Ethereum price still exists, both for retail and traditional finance bros.
I think you're going to see BNMR start to outperform when the market gets more risk on. Look, we're still in phase zero, gold pumping. Remember we can pull up that chart, right? The various phases, and there was a funny one that created a new version because it usually starts at phase one, right? But there was a funny one that started at phase zero, which is like gold pumping. We might still be there. We might still be in phase zero, guys. So I say that somewhat in jest, but I do think we're far ways away from being truly risk on and back to the heady days of like the COVID pump, right? Low rates, quantitative easing in full effect. Everyone's risk on, all assets pumping, all risk assets pumping. We're far from that still. As sad as it's, well, not that far. I mean, if you assume that the new Fed chair is going to move us in that direction, he's coming in May, so that's only 5 months. But that said, from a degen standpoint, from a crypto standpoint, that might seem far away. We might still be in phase zero. Where do you think we're at here in this phase, Nick?
I mean, on the 4-year cycle, we really didn't even get past phase 2. I mean, I guess we saw, BNB and Solana do their thing, but Solana happened very early in the market cycle, so it really wasn't in phase 3. And BNB kind of did it solo, outperforming even Bitcoin. So I don't know. If you're on the 4-year cycle, you're saying, hey, all the phases were done and they were just really compressed. But we're saying we're on an elongated cycle, which means that these cycles have taken longer, and we're probably in phase overlap or even phase 2. We're not really hearing talks of flipping. But we've been talking about how Ethereum would outperform Bitcoin off the lows. It's done that to the tune of about 90%. And even though we're not at heady numbers here, Ethereum continues to outperform Bitcoin. And that's what we want to see. Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin on the way to 5,000, flipping alt season on, and allowing us to go into phase 3 and the phase overlap and allowing alts to breathe. So, I mean, I guess, 4-year cyclists say this is already done. It's a wrap, even though we never really had euphoria. And for 5-year cyclists, you're probably in either up here at phase overlap or even phase 2.
I don't even think we're in phase 1, man. Money flowing into Bitcoin. Have we really even had that? I guess a little bit since 80,000, but it doesn't feel that way. Everyone's still pretty much down to
$126,000. We had new highs, so.
Yeah, no, sure, previously, but I'm talking about the past like 3-4 months. Yeah, I don't know, man. It definitely doesn't feel like we're in phase 2. I think for phase 2 to be in effect, Ethereum's got to be above its previous all-time high. We never heard talks of flipping. People really haven't been that bullish on ETH outside of the maxis in a long, long time. So I don't know. They say we're in phase 2. Like, I just think, man, obviously everything's changed, and that's been one of my theses for a while with the ETFs and so on, and the institutions. So maybe these phases aren't even relevant anymore. Who knows? But has Bitcoin? I mean, has Bitcoin really even started to do its thing? I know, okay, we were at 80K, now we're at 93 or something. We hit 95. It just doesn't feel like we're really even moving anywhere with Bitcoin, let alone Ethereum. So I don't know, man. I think we got a long ways to go. Long ways to go. 5-year cycle still very much in play.
Yeah, let's look up the poly market real quick, see if those have changed, and they've gone in the direction of even less chance of a cut. 96% say no change, 4% says 25 basis point cut, and less than 1% says a 50-plus basis point cut. I'm still hanging on and saying, hey, we're going to cut. I know Crypto Amaru has changed his mind a couple days ago, saying, there's a lot of headwinds, and there is headwinds. We've talked about the headwinds on Friday's live show of potential reasons and things that Powell and the Fed could lean on to say, no, we're not going to cut. But I do think if you're talking about human nature, there's still people in the Fed who are partisan towards Trump. There's still inflation rates going down. There's still a lot of things that do point towards more interest rate cutting. Meanwhile, with the biggest one being really the Fed already talking about QE or QB light, which tells you that they believe that rates need to keep happening. But again, I mean, if it doesn't happen in January, then we have a pause and we have another chance at a cut in March 17th, April 28th, and then a new Fed appointee in May. So what do you say about the interest rate cut? The market has it continuing to trend lower, which isn't really outside the norm of the previous 2 cuts either.
I've stopped worrying about it too much because, first of all, it feels like interest rate cuts haven't really done too much for crypto markets anyway in a long time. So I'm not sure it matters too much. Maybe long term, obviously it does. But in the near term, the market kind of does what it does, I think, irrespective of what the Fed does, Bitcoin price anyway. So that's one point. Second point is the market's already priced in the no cut. I think if we get a no cut, We might even get a pump. Hell, who knows? Because people are like expecting a dump, and then the market makers pump us to wreck the shorts. Who knows? So yeah, I'm not super worried about January at this point. I don't think it's going to happen based on a lot of the press conferences that various Fed governors have given. The data hasn't indicated that inflation's that much closer to their 2% target, even though by the way, the Truflation data says we're well below, but the government data says we're like 2.7. So anyway, I don't think we're going to cut. We'll have to look forward to March, April, and then May we get the new guy. We get the new guy, and I think Trump's he's got to announce the new guy soon. He was talking about announcing the new guy back in like November, and then he's going to do it in December, and then January. Okay, we'll do it in January. Hasn't done it, and I get it. You want to get the pick right, but once we nominate the new guy, I think everyone's focus is going to start to be on what is the new guy's policies going to be, and people will start to look forward to May and start to be a little bit more forward looking towards, end of the year when we're doing QE and when the rates are much lower. So let's get that new pick coming in, Trump. I don't know what he's waiting on.
Well, he's been a busy guy, and here's another video that came out. Trump, Americans may see record-breaking tax refunds. He says millions of families could walk away with an extra 11 to 20K this year. More cash in pockets, stronger consumer spending. This could supercharge the economy. I don't know about 11 to 20K. There's plenty of people who barely make 20, 30, 40K, so I don't know how that works. But I'm always down for tax refunds. I'm always down for tax cuts. I think tax is theft. I think property tax is a scam. I think registering your car is a scam. I think all that stuff is a scam, especially when you find out the money isn't actually going to improve your life, but to improve other foreigners' lives on a massive scale in the form of fraud, in the form of Medicare, Medicaid, all these things. It's like, why am I busting my ass to make a living, being an American citizen, paying out of pocket for all this insurance and medical insurance, and then other people, just because they're down on their luck, get a freebie? Everybody can be down on their luck. If I stop working for a month, I'll be down on my luck. So I think everybody should get out there, grind, survival of the fittest, screw all this other shit. And I'm always down for lower taxes and more tax refunds for those who are out there earning their way through life.
Oh, I'm completely with you, man. That's been one eye-opening thing about the Somalian fraud. Because beforehand, I never really thought too much about, first of all, where my tax dollars went. Maybe a little bit, okay, you assume some goes to military, a lot goes to Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, Social Security, okay. But then it turns out a lot of them is going to these like NGOs, which actually gets funneled into the pockets of scammers. And like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this at all. So they got to get a handle on the scams. They got to nip that in the bud real quick, because I could see like a straight up tax revolt happening. If they're not careful, you're going to have a lot of guys like you, maybe myself, I don't know, like giving the middle finger, like, dude, I'm not paying. I pay a lot of taxes. Like last year was an enormous sum. And it's going to these scammers. Like, what is this bullshit? So yeah, it pisses me off, pisses everybody off. I don't know. I mean, look, the fact is there are millions of Americans, right? There are millions of Americans who pay a lot of taxes. About half the country doesn't pay any taxes because they don't make any money, but then the other half does, because we work hard and actually make money and try to like improve our lives and our families' lives. What a thought. We pay a lot of taxes. So yeah, dude, I don't know if it's going to be 11 to 20K. That seems like a lot. I don't know if it's going to be that extent of a refund for most people. But even if it's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, I mean, remember what happened in COVID times when they gave out, what was that? $1,800 check? What was it? $1,600? How much was that check? $1,200. Yeah, $1,200. That's all it took. $1,200. People give $1,200, and then the markets went bananas. Also for other reasons. But I would love to see it. I would love to see checks, with Trump signs his name on it, sent out to millions of Americans. A lot of them will use it to, sure, they'll pay down debt or whatever the case may be. A lot of them will put it into the financial market. So that's what we would love to see. My only skepticism here is Trump has been saying this for a while, and we haven't really seen movement on it. And then the other scary thought is, if the Supreme Court F's this whole thing over with the tariff income, well, this ain't happening anymore.
Yeah, and we got the tax season coming up, so I think, people will start in March, and then they can delay all the way till October. So you still have a couple months until the early people are in the way, and then I usually just delay, and that's till October of this year. So we'll see how it all plays out.
This isn't the tariff rebate. This is the tax refund from the big, beautiful bill. So this is actually going to happen no matter what. I don't know the numbers, ultimately what they'll be, but people will be getting refunds, man. Maybe this is how we start the bull run. Let's see.
And the last news story, or we already had this one. So all the news stories are pretty much done. Is there anything you guys want to look at? I will say in the sea of red, even Pulse Chain is red, but if we come over here, look at this. EMIT, $1.87. We were talking about it at 40 cents, 39 cents, 45 cents, talking about it as it was rallying $80. $1.70 was the last live show, and now to $1.87, continuing to pay good APR over on EMIT. In the face of red, EMIT still holding strong and paying out rewards in DAI stablecoins. You can pair EMIT with Surf token. You can pair Surf with X token to earn EMIT, stake EMIT to earn stablecoins. That has done very well for us. I don't know if you've done it yet, Crypto Armor, but I know Crypto Paradise has some stables probably building up. We need to collect those, buy up some Surf, and burn them out of supply forever. That is the plan over there. So shout out to EMIT. $1.87 in the face of red markets and turmoil. Pretty great to see considering we're in that at 39 cents to 45 cents and earning between 100 to 300% APR this entire time.
I think what happens when the market's a little bit red is you sometimes have a flight to quality. Certain assets will outperform and be in the green because people are like, oh, wait, this one's doing well. It's been doing well. There must be something about it, some fundamentals that make it strong. So I'm going to check this out, do some research, and deploy capital in there because it's outperforming other things. So I think that's going to continue to happen with EMIT. Only 505 holders. So, I mean, early days. Obviously, it's on Pulse Chain, which we need to see more activity and retail getting on board. Or Richard Hart needs to do his thing. But early days for EMIT, and like you said, paying out passive income. Price performance, very, very solid relative to many other assets. So shout out to those guys. We actually just reached out to them this morning. We're exploring using a potential product of theirs. So for Crypto Paradise, I'll leave that at that. But we're looking to strengthen our partnership with EMIT for sure.
Shout out to other projects that we talk about. Spin Pump holding in the 7s. We've seen it as high as the 8s, even with Solana selling off. So that's good because remember, that's liquidity bonded there. So when Solana drops, it drags the Spin Pumps of the world, the Fuck 9to5s of the world, the Dubcats of the world. That's how liquidity bonding works. So holding in there strong. What else you want to talk about? Zen still above $11 with privacy, still a hot narrative. Monero still up about 5% today in the face of the red market. Zen still holding above $11 after its rebound from 7 to 11 in just a couple days. Same thing for Dash and that privacy token. ZEC still showing some weakness. Well, imagine that. A lot of people in crypto don't like seeing weird stuff like transgenderism and a dude with thinning hair. And I don't understand why you'd post that. In what world is that normal? Hopefully never our world.
Is that guy back out posting again, or that was?
I've seen him on some other podcasts and stuff, so I don't know what. I don't know.
Lord.
I don't know. That's just, to me, that is weird. And you can call me whatever I want. I don't have a phobia of trans people. It's not transphobia or whatever you want to call it. It's just not normal. And I don't like things when 0.0% of the population pushes propaganda or agenda on myself, on my kids, on my culture, and they're the minority. And it's pushed as if it's reality, finding its way into cartoons and everything else. I think it is weird because it is weird. You know, the human being is meant to procreate and have kids, and that doesn't happen with those things.
Yeah, it definitely gives me the heebie-jeebies, when I look at someone like that. It definitely weirds me out a little bit. I don't lose a ton of sleep over the whole subject matter, although if, it starts to affect my life. My daughter, she's only 3 now, once she gets to high school, and then she's on the track team, and then some dude who's in a fucking wig comes and just breaks all the records and just crushes the biologically female women on the team because it's actually a dude. Well, then I'll be pissed about it. But by the way, I think the Supreme Court's going to put a kibosh on that. They may fuck us on the tariffs, but I think they're going to get it right on this transgender and sports case. I don't think that's going to persist for much longer. So, in any event, if you're Zcash, what are you doing? Don't make this guy your thing or whatever this is your spokesperson. Make it a dude in a suit. Make it like a Chad or maybe a hot chick. A boy or a girl. Boy or girl. Not a weird in-between thing. Don't make that your spokesperson.
We do these interviews with projects, and sometimes they don't want to be doxxed and they put a logo up. It seems for Zcash for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're a privacy token. It would probably make sense if you have an anonymous face of your project. But then specifically in the case of Zcash, if that's your alternative and that's the face that you want to show, a privacy token and kind of a fringe thing, I don't know. It wasn't very smart. And I'm not saying that's why Zcash sold off. I'm just saying the timing is quite ironic.
I think it had at least a little bit to do with it. But did you see this news on Monero as we're talking privacy? Apparently, a whale with like $250 million worth of Bitcoin and Litecoin, I don't know, other shit in his wallet, was dumb enough to enter his seed phrase into some, D-app or whatever in order to try to earn a free NFT. Wow. Of course, it was a scam. And, he was hacked for $250 million. And then the hackers promptly moved a majority or large percentage of that money into Monero, which may be one reason why it was pumping.
Interesting.
But, dude, what are you doing? You got $250 million. What are you doing? Why are you even... What are you doing? Like trying to win an NFT? Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't mind the chasing the NFT, but
I do.
Do you think you should know about not like why would you need your private key? A public address, whatever, then maybe people can see all your assets, but a private key is so silly. And the second thing is too, if you have 250 million, why not just go on MetaMask, create a new wallet, and use that?
There you go. If you want to try to earn, if you're a millionaire, but like if you have generational wealth and yet still you feel you need a new NFT, which in and of itself is fucking the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Like, if you have $250 million, you should stop spending time in the trenches trying to earn free stuff. Like, what are you doing with your life? Buy some property, get a private jet, find a model wife, fly around the world, and just have a fucking time of your life. Don't be in the trenches trying to find free NFTs. So that's my first point. Second point, yeah, if you do need this NFT, which is just insane to me, get a new wallet and try to get the NFT that way. But anyway, the whole thing is ridiculous and insane. If you guys are watching and you have $250 million, first of all, why are you watching? Stop watching my show if you got $250 million. Secondly, don't try to win free shit like that. It's always a scam. And then thirdly, never enter your seed phrase anywhere. But that may be the reason why Monero was pumping. Right? This happened like 4 or 5 days ago when Monero was going on this big run. It doesn't take, a lot of these assets don't have a lot of liquidity. And so it doesn't take but, a couple $1 million for it to go like up 50, 60, 80, 100%.
Makes a lot of sense. I think we kind of covered everything we needed to covered the news. We went over some charts. There isn't a lot of other things going on besides a slight red day across the board. EMIT still holding strong and up since our last live show. Spin Pump, a microcap gambling, is still up since our entry, but down a little bit since our last live show. Surf token continues to buy and burn itself, and we do have DeFi yield that is going to be going towards Surf soon. We also have the No Expectation wallet. Maybe that gets deployed. And then we have the DAO wallet. Maybe that gets deployed as well. Working with some other projects for marketing deals moving forward, ICOs, pre-sales, many other opportunities. And a percentage of the revenue will be going towards buying and burning the Surf token over time. So we need Pulse Chain to catch a bid. We need Ethereum to catch a bid. And we need Crypto Paradise to keep doing its thing. Because every dollar that comes in, a percentage of that is going back into the Surf ecosystem. And burnt out of supply forever. Which means that the Surf you own today, it has a bigger share of the total supply tomorrow.
Yeah, we're still doing our thing. We got some great opportunities coming up. We just signed up a big client for Crypto Paradise. So we're working closely with those guys. We have some other news cooking in the background, some big news actually, which I don't want to share yet because it's not finalized, but it is huge news if you're a part of the Crypto Paradise community. So excited for that. But yeah, we're doing our thing. I know it's Martin Luther King Day, so I got some stuff to do with my family, but happy to have jumped on the live stream. We'll be back tomorrow with another slate of stories, news, analysis, maybe some giveaways. I don't know. But until then, guys, we'll see you on the beach.